Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the War Room. This one is for the UFC 261 co-main event for the women's flyweight title. Okay. What do we expect from this one? This is a pretty clear-cut one to me in the ways that it could go. We've got Valentina Shevchenko on one side, who is one of the most technical and well-rounded fighters in the sport of mixed martial arts. Not only is she technical and well-rounded, but she's very smart in her application and her execution. She doesn't take risks. She manages her opponents very well. She decides what their options are in the striking range, and then when it comes to the ground, she stays 2 or 3 steps ahead of them. She's a very talented fighter. On the flip side, you've got Jessica Andrade, who's been up and down weight classes. She started up at bantamweight, she moved down to strawweight, and now the flyweight division's available for her. She's settled there after becoming a champ at strawweight. She's a very different style of fighter. She's a powerhouse. You know, she's not got a fantastic harness on the technical skills of mixed martial arts, especially in the striking ranges. As ferocious as she is and as effective as she is, she doesn't have the same kind of finesse that Valentina Shevchenko does. That doesn't mean she's any less effective. And, you know, that reckless power and confidence in aggression, much like Vanderlei Silva back in the day, you know, if you can cover distance and take your feet with you, and you're hitting with power and you're hitting with volume and you're landing in a variety of different targets, in mixed martial arts, those 4-ounce gloves always get through. There's always something that lands. And oftentimes with Jessica Andrade, the body shot is the thing that stands out. You know, we saw it, I think it was it Jessica Penne she caught? Obviously the last one against Chikagian. Jessica Penne. I remember her landing a shot to the body, just a dig. And you can see her opponents just cave. They just crumble on the spot because, well, all of a sudden you can't breathe. You know, all of a sudden the wind in your lungs has been knocked out of you, and you can't take a breath. And at the same time, this crazy pile driver, which is what a nickname translates to, according to Mike Goldberg back in the day. He said it every fight. It was quite consistent. Her nickname, Joe, translates to pile driver. Anyway. With that being said, that is what she brings to the table. You know, she is a powerhouse, and she's had one fight in this weight class so far in the UFC, and it was right at the end of the first round. She stopped Chikagian, who's, you know, I think she was number 1 contender at the time, having just lost to Shevchenko. Caught her with a body shot. You know, we saw the same thing from Chikagian. She folded, she crumbled, she couldn't maintain for, you know, 10 more seconds to get to the bell. Must have been a horrendously powerful shot, and I think that's the X factor for Jessica Andrade here. Obviously, it's the power that she brings to the table. We saw what she did to Rose to win the belt. You know, picked her up twice in the first round, wasn't able to slam her on her head. Third time around, start the second round, she clamped onto that Kimura trap and paid for it, and the power that Jessica Andrade brings to the octagon is always evident. Valentina Shevchenko is probably one of the best fighters to manage that power. I mean, you've got to think she was fighting at bantamweight and she was competitive with Amanda Nunes, which is very difficult to say for everybody else in the sport. That shows how high her skill level is, because she's the smaller fighter naturally. She's not nearly as powerful as Amanda Nunes, but was able to be very competitive at every range, because she's very technical. There's still an inherent danger in fighting someone like Jessica Andrade, you know, because she swarms, because she attacks with volume, and because she attacks several different targets, not forgetting about the body. 26% of her strikes go to the body. There's always a concern that Valentina Shevchenko, when she is under attack, that something's going to get through. And she has several different ways of dealing with this. Kind of like Rose against Zhang Weili. You know, footwork is going to be a key. Shevchenko is a southpaw, so she's going to be in a position where she can circle towards the lead foot of Jessica Andrade and keep peppering her with that powerful left rear kick. She's also got good hop side kicks as well, which is good because Jessica Andrade, she does tend to move in a straight line when she's attacking. the downside to Jessica Andrade's game is because she's not very calculated with her delivery of her strikes. She's also not very calculated with her footwork. So there is an opportunity here for Shevchenko to run her in circles and force Jessica Andrade to chase her. In that case, that's where Shevchenko can start laying traps. She's backing up, she's moving away, she's expecting Andrade to run onto her, and then she can start sniping her with straight shots and body kicks. And I think that she can be very effective. She's not got the same kind of stopping power as Andrade, but then if you can catch Andrade moving forward, nice knee to the body or straight down the pipe as she's moving on, you're utilizing that force that's coming at you as well, which would be a good way for Valentina Shevchenko to make the most of the fact that she's fighting a power striker, would be to, absorb what is useful and use it against her. Valentina Shevchenko has the highest strike rate and takedown accuracy in the division. So not only is she a champion, but she's also kind of topping the stats in all of the technical aspects. 24.5% of her strikes are also to the legs. So anything that she can do to slow down Jessica Andrade, sting the legs, beat up that calf if she can, although Southpaw v Orthodox makes it a bit difficult, leaves her vulnerable, leaves her head on the center line. Anything she can do to slow Andrade down and, flatten her tires is going to make her job a little easier to do in the long run. When it comes to the grappling aspects, so Jessica Andrade, again, same with her footwork, same with her striking, there's not a great deal of finesse in her takedowns, but because they're so powerful, she overrides a lot of the technical aspects of other fighters' games. Rose was clamped onto the Kimura trap 3 times in that fight, and she stayed out of it the first 2 times, barely one of them. But then the 3rd time she was able to make her pay for it. And Shevchenko's good in the clinch. She's got good hip throws. She's got like a good judo foundation. That unfortunately forces her to lock up. It unfortunately forces her to work with overhooks sometimes, which will allow Jessica Andrade to have underhooks and also have the opportunity to level change. So there's going to be an interesting tussle on the inside where Andrade is going to be trying to get in positions, high crotch positions, body lock positions, where she can lift and elevate Shevchenko in order to turn her in the air and to slam her. Shevchenko on the flip side is going to have to be trying to hang heavy with overhooks, fight for underhooks, and use her hips and her trips to try and off balance and destabilize Jessica Andrade. I think that's the most interesting part of this fight for me, is when they actually make contact. On the outside, I think Andrade can. Shevchenko can do what other fighters have done to Andrade and just keep her walking onto shots, in and out, stinger with the jab, in and out, jab cross, move away, counter right hook, body kick, variety of attack, but nothing that leaves her stationary for long enough for Andrade to be confident enough to attack her. What else is there to say? Shevchenko does a lot of spinning attacks, and I talked about it in the Weili Namajunas fight. Spinning attacks leave you vulnerable to have your back taken. Weili uses a lot of back kicks. Namajunas has got good rear naked chokes. There's a vulnerability there. She could possibly have her back taken and get choked out. Shevchenko, I don't think she's in the same kind of danger of getting choked out, but if she goes for a spinning back kick and misses and Andrade closes distance, she's there, body lock, level change, high crotch, whatever she wants, and she might be able to elevate Shevchenko. And if she's able to land her in a position which is impactful or uncomfortable, she might be able to finish with ground and pound. Get in top position, force Shevchenko to recover guard, and then just start powering away with those heavy hands. That would be a concern for mine if I was Shevchenko. I would limit my attacks to far more basic direct attacks, and try and counter that power that's moving towards me with some of those straight attacks. What else haven't I said? The one thing that we've never seen from Andrade is her ability to cut angles and to change her direction on her way into attack. She chases and and her feet get shorter and her hands get faster. And I mean, that is when she's at her most dangerous. But it's also quite a linear attack. It's quite a reactive attack. And one thing that if I was her coach, I would add to her game is the ability to step laterally, strafe and pepper. Don't allow your opponent to just run along the fence and chase them around, because an octagon is endless if you run in a circle, trust me. Like, she's got to learn how to paint fighters into a corner, so she's forcing them up against the fence where they have to deal with her power. And then she can start deciding which direction she wants them to go and then setting them up. I don't think she has that level of comprehension of striking. I think she's very effective when it gets to close range, but I don't think it's quite as considered as that. And I think that's where Shevchenko, again, is a step ahead of her, because she is that comprehensive in her striking training. You can see that in the way that she set up the head kick against Jessica Ai. Okay. Quick look at UFC stats, and I've got a couple of questions on this one. So more experience for Jessica Andrade, but only 2 more wins. She's got 8 losses on her record compared to 3 for Shevchenko. Shevchenko has a considerably longer average fight time, 17 minutes compared to just over 10 minutes for Jessica Andrade. But again, that's because, Shevchenko's been fighting 5-round fights consistently, and because Andrade is smashing people quite quickly in comparison to Shevchenko, who's, got plenty of decisions on her record. 4 inches in height advantage, 4 inches in reach for Shevchenko, which she will have to make the most of. This is where it starts to get quite different, is when it comes to their striking, their significant strikes, because strikes landed per minute is just under 3 for Shevchenko, and it's over 6 for Andrade. She throws a considerable amount of volume at her opponents, and she's not taking too many in return, really. Strikes absorbed per minute, she's taking a lot, but her striking accuracy is up there. Striking defenses, it's 9% less, but it's not bad when you consider how reckless she is. And that is a signifier in the fact that when she's attacking her opponent, they are very much under attack. Does that make sense? I don't know where that came from, but I quite like it. When she is attacking her opponent, they are very much under attack. And they know that. Like, when she's attacking them, that is what allows her to get over 6 strikes per minute landed. And her striking accuracy is still 50-odd%, 49%. It's because she can just unload when her opponent's backing up. She does absorb a few strikes per minute looking at this, but at the same time, she's able to take a hell of a shot. Their grappling is rather similar, though. You look at that, takedown accuracy, 58% for Shevchenko, 57% for Andrade. Takedown offense, 75 for Shevchenko and 76 for Andrade. And same with submission attempts as well. This is one thing I didn't mention, is the guillotine attacks of Andrade. She has got good guillotine. She's got short arms and a hell of a squeeze. And in a situation where she's overwhelmed Shevchenko, or she's hit her to the body and Shevchenko's doubled over, there is a possibility that she'll clamp onto that neck. That's something that we can't forget about. Average takedowns per 15 minutes, more for more for Andrade, but of course that's because she's picking fighters up and launching them and not worrying too much about controlling them when they land or where they land. Whereas obviously, Shevchenko, she's taking someone down, her aim is to control them and to funnel them towards a finish, or a crucifix where she can smush your face in. This is a fun fight. It's really interesting for me when it gets into the clinch, because they're very different fighters with very different skill sets, but those skill sets complement each other like Lego pieces for me. Like Jessica Andrade, she likes a body lock, she likes to level change, she's got big power, she likes to lift and slam. Valentina Shevchenko, she likes an overhook, she likes to hang on her opponent, she likes to trip and reap and hip throw. And, when it hits the floor, I expect the technical abilities of Shevchenko to counter the physical power that Andrade brings to the table. What are my questions for this one? Okay. Eric, Andrade is fairly well-rounded little powerhouse. Yes, she is. Is her ground and pound the best chance to beat Shevchenko, and does she need to be aggressive and push the pace early on? I think the fight will be it will be hers to push. I don't think Shevchenko is going to go out there and really try and pick a fight. I think she's going to want to counter and be reactive and, you know, fight like a champion into the later rounds and beat her opponent, you know, kind of comprehensively. So I think it is on Andrade to pressure, but I also think she needs to be cautious that she's not pressuring too recklessly because, you know, Shevchenko is a sniper and she can pick her off consistently. And the more she lands clean without getting hit, the more Andrade is going to get frustrated with that. And then a little follow on. If Andrade were to win, would you rank it up there with among the biggest UFC upsets? I mean, I don't know what the betting odds are, to be honest. I'll have a look closer to the fight, but I mean, it's certainly up there. But at the same time, I suppose it's as big as upset as Ngannou beating Stipe. You know, I suppose it's not quite as big of upset as Matt Serra knocking out GSP, for example. Like it's somewhere up there, but at the same time, like Andrade is, you know, she's a firecracker, and what we saw her do to Chikagian and what we've seen her do to previous fights in the past, she's always got that X factor, the power that she brings to the table in this division and in any division that she's in. Even at bantamweight, she was picking Raquel Pennington up and slamming her. You know, she's a serious individual, so it would be an upset, absolutely. And I think people would be surprised to see Shevchenko get beaten, but it would. I think if it happened, the nature in which she would get beaten would be so explosive and violent that people would go, oh, okay, well, if it was going to happen, that was the way. So anyway, Jimmy, if Shevchenko wins, where does she go from there? Should she call out Nunes, considering a lot of people, including myself, think she won the second fight? I mean, I would like to see her face Nunes again. I mean, if she wins here, then she'll be able to go up and face Nunes for the bantamweight champion and maybe become a champ. That's got to be her goal. You know, with her being so comprehensively comfortable at I keep using that word comprehensive. With her being so comfortable at the top of the flyweight division, I think she might be looking for more challenges outside of her division at this stage. I'm just pulling up the rankings so I can have a quick look. I should have had this prepared. Okay. I mean, you look underneath her and you've got Chikagian, who she's already beaten, Andrade, who's on her way. Underneath that is Lauren Murphy, and I mean, definitely Lauren Murphy has earned her shot. Cynthia Calvillo's on the rise as well. The only question around Lauren Murphy is, is it someone that Andrade would want to fight? I think she would rather face Zhang Weili either at her weight class in a title defense or maybe at a catch weight. But then the Amanda Nunes fight, you can definitely make an argument for that second fight, and I think that would be an interesting rematch. I think I've got one more. Will Valentina use speed or targeted power to quell Andrade's aggression? Or will Jessica Andrade use a more paced approach? Well, I hope both, because Dank, I hope, or is it Dan K? It might be Dan K, but we'll call you Dank. I'm hoping both, because if it's both, then we're seeing a more paced approach from Andrade, which is necessary to make her game more effective at the higher level. And if we see Valentina use speed and targeted power, I think that's going to give Andrade all kinds of problems that she's got to figure out if she wants to become a champion. Shevchenko is fast. She has got very accurate striking. And I think that, she, like I was saying, she can make Andrade pay by crashing forward recklessly and walking onto stuff. She's got good elbows as well. I mean, you can see her cracking Andrade with elbows on the way in. But the targeted power is going to be the key, because she's going to be borrowing power from Andrade as well. So reading the movements of her opponent is going to be key, in which case she's got to manage the movements of her opponent and keep her at a distance where she's not going to swarm her and start clubbing her with wild punches to the head and body. I think that's everything. I think I've covered. Yeah, that's all of them. Another fun fight. A bit strange that it's below the strawweight title. I'm not exactly sure why that works. Usually it goes in weight class order. But interesting. Clearly they feel like the Weili Namajunas fight is more interesting and more marketable, perhaps. But we shall see. Lots of interesting fights coming up, and these two are definitely them. If you've not watched the other episodes, I've just done the Zhang Weili Namajunas one, and I am just about to do Masvidal Usman right now. So check those episodes out if you haven't already, and enjoy the fights. I'll see you next time.